Hello friends, and welcome back to Beautifully Nerding. Now, if you all think back just a little bit, if you remember how we used to just channel surf, just going from channel to channel trying to find something to watch, and then streaming came along, it was like worry no more. You can watch exactly what you want to watch when you want to watch it. But then with so many services all competing for our money and attention, we got overloaded. And then they had to create algorithms to make sure that we saw the things that we were wanting to even see and that maybe we would even like. Okay, well, my Netflix algorithm knows me quite well and is right on the money because they suggested that I watch the Netflix original series, SupaCell. So this is a show that is based in South London, and it's about a group of normal people suddenly developing superpowers. And the only apparent connection between them is that they are all black. As they deal with the impact of their powers on their daily lives, one man must bring them together. And just like most Americans, I am absolutely weak for this accent, okay? John Boyega is my baby daddy. James and Fuhad, come holla at me. But this is a majority black cast, and it not only highlights a variety of social structures of each of our main characters, but I like that the show doesn't make their blackness their only defining feature, because there's so many black people, so it's not like this is our black friend, because almost the entire cast is black. And so I watched this whole series in 2 days. Okay, it could have been one, but I had to get up and go to work. I immediately peeped the Lovecraft Country vibe of the villains because they don't see the humanity of our characters and they're using them for personal gain. Similarly to Lovecraft Country, our heroes have to use their gifts to not only take back their power, but to also get out from under the thumb of the villains. Now, before I get too into my thoughts, let's talk about the characters real quick. So our main team consists of 5 people who each get a title of an episode, and the 6th episode is about all of them together. So we have Michael, who is a parcel delivery driver who is about to propose to his fiance. We have Taser, a young guy who is trapped in that cycle of street life. We have Sabrina, a hardworking nurse who is, just kind of fighting to be seen and get a promotion. We have Andre, who's an ex-con who was recently released from prison and is trying to get back on his feet so that he can spend time with his son. And then we have Rodney, who's like a low-level drug dealer who's just like new to the area and is trying to increase his clientele. But before we can even meet our heroes, we see a woman trying to escape from some kind of facility. She's running through the halls, turning corners, mashing elevator buttons. But since the folks running things started a lockdown protocol, the doors won't open. So finally she's like, oh yeah, I have powers. And she blasts the doors open. Now she gets to see and feel the sun and she smiles. She is immediately shocked. This is not your Stranger Things where 11 is able to break everybody's necks and runs away to oh boy. Like, they drag her back down the hallway in the slowest of motions to make sure that everybody else in the facility knows that if you try what she just did, this is what's going to happen to you. But essentially the whole show is about our 5 heroes slowly coming together, discovering that they have these powers, trying to master these powers while also protecting each other from the shadow organization that wants to capture them. And of course, everyone has their other problems that they're dealing with, but each of our characters and their problems are a major roadblock from the main plan, which is save the cheerleader, save that's heroes. The main plan of this one is to prevent the future that Michael saw from happening. So he went to the future. He saw their later versions of themselves fighting the shadow organization. His future self gave him some information and was like, hey, don't let this happen. So he goes back to the past and it's like, I got to get the gang together. All I have are 4 first names and a date of death. But with hard work and perseverance, everything is going to come together. But the great part about this show is how much ground they cover in so many different topics in really just 6 episodes. Now, we're about to get into light spoilers, and I'll warn you before we go full spoiler, but just know it's going to happen. So we learned that there's a clinic that does this paid blood testing and treatment for sickle cell. And while sickle cell isn't a widespread disease, it does afflict a number of people. And a majority of the people that it does afflict are black people. So essentially, sickle cell is a group of inherited red blood cell disorders that cause those red blood cells to become hard and sticky and essentially shaped like a C or a sickle, hence the sickle cell. And essentially what that does is it causes the cells not to bend or move easily and can block that blood flow to the rest of the body. And then that blocked blood flow causes issues, including like, it can cause stroke, it can cause eye problems, infections, a whole host of things. And while it is a hereditary disease, someone could have the trait and not fully be affected by it, because we learned that Michael's mom has sickle cell and is very sick, but he does not have sickle cell, which is a trend that we see a lot in this show. So Michael goes to visit his mom. He's brought in this lady, her name is Victoria, and she runs a clinic that specializes in sickle cell. And, she says that she wants to help. Now, if you have ever watched anything ever, you already know to look at this random white lady sideways. Like, do you really want to help us? Like, what is your actual motive here? Because helping doesn't seem like the main plan you got. So the interesting thing is that all of the parents of our heroes are either living with sickle cell or have passed away because of it. And the reason that they have these superpowers is because of that dormant gene mutated into this super version of the cell, hence the SupaCell, which gets changed into SupaCell.
Well, at least one of your parents has sickle cell, or they both have the trait. And SupaCell is a mutation of sickle cell. It's very rare, and even if you have it, it can lay dormant in your body forever. But it can also awaken, given the right conditions. Close proximity with another activated supercell is most common.
We are literally dealing with mutants, and our heroes are the X-Men. So like, as soon as I peeped it, I was like, oh, this show is literally everything. A big crux of the show is the fact that there are a lot of missing people, and more people seem to be going missing. Like, the city's trying to put out curfews and trying to make sure that people are aware, like, hey, these people are going missing. We don't know where they are. Please be careful. But also, it seems to be like the continuing coverage is getting lessened, and the community has taken notice that it seems like no one's really talking about it. It's good to see a show that highlights something like this and also makes it aware that, like, we do care about these people. Make sure that you were caring as well. We even get discussions about domestic violence through Sabrina's sister, Charlene. Her boyfriend, Craig, has put his hands on her in the past, and when he's released from prison, he puts his hands on her again. And then also, Charlene almost gets taken advantage of on a night out when a guy gets a bit too handsy and decides that even though Charlene says no, he doesn't care and wants her anyway. But fortunately, her sister Sabrina was able to step in and help her. It is also in this instance that we learn that it's not just our 5 main characters that have these powers. Pretty much anyone who has this gene could possibly have powers. Hence my X-Men comparison. Which also means that there are an unknown number of people with powers just waiting to be unlocked. And now we're about to go full spoiler. Okay, 3, 2, 1. So when Michael went to the future and saw the hooded figures that the later versions were fighting, he assumed that these were people who wanted to kill them. But in reality, the hooded figures were trying to capture them. Because of course, if someone is seeing this is happening, they want to poke, prod, do experiments on them. One of the characters even foreshadows this. Like, Rodney's friend is like, are you sure you want to be using your powers out in public? And that's because the Shadow organization discovered the SupaCell and that it was a derivative of sickle cell, and now they're wanting to do experiments and learn more about it. Now, we don't fully know what the end goal of this experimentation is. We don't even really know what the Shadow organization is. But my guess is that there's a private company who is trying to make super soldier serum. I feel like it's always super soldier serum. But in our last episode, as things start to seem bleak for our teams, when all of these worlds are colliding from the different stories, like Char's boyfriend Craig is actually a gangster named Crazy, who was a street mentor for Taser, whose mom also had sickle cell and went missing because she was snatched up by the hooded figures. And like multiple people have people who are missing, and it's bringing the team all together, and like different worlds are colliding. They all come together because Michael and folks want to fight the hooded figures, but Taser wants to fight Crazy because he's crazy. And so they're all at the same place because Crazy is actually with the hooded figures. We find out that Crazy is also an enhanced person.
Craig, if I was you, I'll come over here. Those things behind you, they're dangerous.
Dangerous? Dangerous. Dangerous like you, Sabrina. Or dangerous like me.
He has very roguelike powers where he can touch someone and mimic their powers. It doesn't seem like he drains anybody's energy, but you know, probably being around him is very draining. So like, he's able to touch Andre and he has super strength. He's able to touch Rodney and he has that super speed. And so he's able to touch one of the other minions, and now he's Firestorm, making a ring of fire on the ground. And that's where you lost me a little bit, because I'm like, where's the oil? How is the fire lighting this fast? All the debris on the ground, nothing else is catching on fire. How'd you make a perfect circle? I just had so many questions. I was like, it's a TV show. Let me bring it back down a little bit. But worst of all, as our team is fighting these hooded figures, the mask gets knocked off, and we see that behind the mask were other people who had gone missing, who were being blackmailed into going out and finding these other powered people to bring them back to the organization for experiment. I say blackmailed because the people were saying like, hey, if you do this, we'll let you go see your family. But of course, like, it's never gonna happen. Like, they're just holding this carrot in front of them and only giving them the stick. So this goes all the way to the top, because we've been seeing this guy whose name is Ray calling all the shots at the shadowy headquarters, but he actually isn't the big bad. That title belongs to our friend from episode 1, Victoria. And I never trusted her from a singular second. Like, I absolutely knew that she was the bad guy as soon as I saw her, because that just, with these shows like this, it's like, yes, the powers that be are the bad guy, but whenever you have a majority person of color cast, you just have a random white person come in out of nowhere, 9 times out of 10, they're probably the bad guy. But of course, we're left on a cliffhanger for a possible season 2. And I'm gonna need all of y'all to watch season 1, because I need this season 2 with at least 8 episodes, because 6 was not enough. But this show is so good, and it just enticed everything in me that loves superhero, that just loves people who look like me, just people just getting to be super and magnificent and amazing. And I need more of this. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you leave a like, leave a comment, share with all your friends. If you are liking what you're seeing on this channel, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? And with that being said, I'll catch y'all next time. Bye.